How I got started was back in 2011, and there were barely any sources at all back then. I still remember reading the first story on Bitcoin on Slashdot, and I think the title was "Internet Only Currency Bitcoin Reaches Dollar Parity." And I didn't know what that was. I couldn't even parse that sentence. I'm like, what is this thing that can reach dollar parity? What does that even mean? So I went down the rabbit hole pretty quick, and I was fortunate enough to have studied math in college, so I knew something about public key cryptography and how all that worked. And I also studied some Austrian economics after 2008, so everything sort of fell into place for me when I read that story, and went down the rabbit hole. Oh, okay, it works with cryptography. I can understand how that would work, and and there's a 21 million limit using sort of like an asymptotic function of issuance. So I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So I kind of got it right away. I mean, it took a couple years before I really got into it in terms of like development and coding and all that stuff. But back then, there really just wasn't very much. And part of that frustration is why I wrote all of the books that I did, is because there just weren't those resources back then. And you pretty much had to be kind of a tech libertarian geek like me in order to get into it in 2011. Thankfully nowadays there's a lot more resources and